Charlie Munger famously said that he does not need to have dinner with anybody dead or alive. If he wants to know anything about them, guess what? He will read their book. This is how much importance one of the greatest investors of all time put towards books. Please watch this video if you want to make the best 2025 and 2026 decisions. Sometimes reading books can give you such substantial amounts of knowledge, and with these books today, you're not only going to become a better businessman, you're going to become a better skill worker, and you're also going to become a better overall investor. So stay tuned, guys. We're going to start off with The Intelligent Investor. Now, The Intelligent Investor by Benjamin Graham is one of the best fundamental books you can read if you want to learn about how to have safety in the stock market and how to actually invest. The big key takeaways from this book is going to be on how to buy stocks, how to ignore the market noise, and how to stay disciplined in the market. And if you guys don't know, Benjamin Graham is the teacher of none other than one of the greatest investors of all time, which is Warren Buffett. So Benjamin Graham taught Warren Buffett how to invest, how to have safety in the stock market, how to read a balance sheet, and how to look at a financial sheet, which, guess what, are all chapters in this book. So if you want to learn about how to become one of the greatest investors in history and how to think the way he thinks, guess what? This is a solid read. I would say this is one of my top 10 out of 10 books. The next book on the list is none other than Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. Now, this is one of the best financial books that has ever been written. This is a book that I'm assuming a lot of you have already read if you have any sort of knowledge in finances. Now, a lot of people also skip this book, but I don't recommend you skip it. I think you should read it. It's a book that talks a lot about motivation and money. It talks about how to use assets versus liabilities, but it's more of a fundamental book. It kind of just programs the way you want to think about assets. And in my opinion, as you mentioned many times on this channel, if you're young, you want to buy assets. You don't care about the money you have in your bank account. You care about the assets under your name. And so this book does a lot of that, and is a very good book to read, especially if you want to get motivated and figure out how to actually think about finances. Now, the next book on this list is going to be How an Economy Grows and Why It Crashes by Peter D. Guys, this is one of my favorite books of all time. The main reason is this is a kind of economy book, an economist book, that goes over why an economy actually does fail and how it grows. And the reason why I really recommend people listening to this book is because this book will show you that cycles will always happen. That cycles will happen up and down, and that you should not rely on cycles to make financial decisions. And it pretty much goes from a small island that only fishes to how those fishes create jobs, to how those jobs create even more jobs and businesses, and eventually you get to skyscrapers. It's crazy. This book does it all. You go through the entire time this town is increasing in size, this country is increasing, and then why it fails. It is such a good book, and I recommend every single person read this book. Whether you like finance or not, it's a great way to change your understanding on how this system that we are living in currently works. And for that, I would say, again, this is one of the 10 out of 10 books that needs to be on your list. Now, sticking on to the track of economies, the next book on the list is by Ray Dalio. Now, if you don't know who Ray Dalio is, he is one of the best hedge fund managers of all time. He owns this company called Bridgewater, and Bridgewater is a huge company in finances. And so Ray Dalio has a lot of business that he does in China and in the USA, which puts him in a very certain perspective on how the economy grows and fails, especially on this oncoming and ongoing trade war with China. Now, the book is called Principles of Dealing with the Changing World Order, and this is, again, another 10 out of 10 book. I'm telling you, man, all of these books on this list are something you have to read. Now, one of the great importances of this book is going over the fact of talking about what's happening today. Unlike the previous book, this book goes over the USA today. As of 2020 or 2021, it goes over all of the highlights, all of the downturns, and kind of sets you up for what you should expect in the future. This is definitely a book you want to read, again, if you just want to be knowledgeable in the space of anything to do with finances. Now, with that, we're going to get to one of our last books, which is going to be The Holy Grail of Investing by Tony Robinson. Now, you would not think that a guy known for motivational content is great at finances, but guess what? You'd be completely wrong, because this guy is a billionaire, and he's a very intelligent billionaire too. The Holy Grail of Investing goes over one of the best highlights that I think a lot of people don't understand, in this private equity. Now, what private equity is that private equity is when you buy portions of people's businesses, not as stocks, but huge ownerships, or even businesses that you make are private equity deals. So a lot of times, people who are in private equity, they buy whole businesses, they refinance the businesses, make the finance look better, make everything more profitable, and then they sell off these businesses for profit. And do you know what the average return on investment is for something like this? It's over 30%. So Tony Robinson in this book goes over how his investment portfolio has outperformed the S&P 500 by a huge market, and how the S&P 500 is only the first step, because nobody thinks about venture capital and other high returning assets for the ultra wealthy. And this really does show how to mitigate your risk while using these big different channels of income. Now, the main thing I want to emphasize on this book is that a lot of this idea, a lot of private equity and stuff, you're not going to get to just because you're not going to have the money to jump into these funds. However, he shows you exactly what he does. And this is very good knowledge for, again, what purpose? Building your financial future, because eventually you'll be at that point, especially if you're doing everything else listed in these books. You're going to be at the position where you're going to be investing into private equity. Now, guys, thank you so much. The next book I'm going to go over, or the next knowledge piece I'm going to go over, are audiobooks, and why I think audiobooks are even better than reading, and why I recommend everybody to listen to books. Now, have a great rest of your day, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We'll talk to you soon.